Hi there, everyone. It's Dr. Mary Barbera here for our Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time autism Q&A call. I started this back a week or two before the coronavirus shutdown pandemic. So we are talking a little bit about that. We're talking about autism. I'm answering your questions. For those of you that don't know me, I fell into the autism world more than 2 decades ago when my firstborn son, Lucas, started showing signs of autism. One day before his 3rd birthday, he was diagnosed with moderate to severe autism, and I knew little to nothing about autism back then. But now, 2 decades later, I became a board-certified behavior analyst. I am and have been a registered nurse for over 3 decades. In addition to being a behavior analyst, I'm also an RN and the author of the best-selling book, The Verbal Behavior Approach, How to Teach Children with Autism and Related Disorders. That is pictured back here along with my 2 sons, Lucas and Spencer. They're both young adults now. Lucas is 23 and Spencer is 22, and he is in college. So I am open to your questions. If you can, in the comments, let me know who's here, what questions you have. I am hoping to get questions both from YouTube and from Facebook. We had some technical problems last week. I think it was bad weather coupled with everybody and his brother on the internet at the same time. And so we weren't able to complete the show on YouTube, but it looks like it's doing okay this week. So fingers crossed. I do see some people here already. Sarla has a 10-year-old daughter who's become obsessed with green vegetables like gooseberry, lemon, cabbage. Every day she wants a fresh one. I mean, you could be obsessed with worse things, I guess, like, candy and those sorts of things. So, I mean, I'm not really familiar with that particular vegetable, but, if she's 10 and part of the, shutdown, quarantine, whatever, wherever you're located around the world, you can and should kind of space it out so she's not. I remember some child I evaluated once they were trying to potty train this little boy, and he was eating like 10 oranges a day, and so that's excessive, and it was leading to a lot of loose stool and that sort of thing. So as long as the vegetables aren't leading to, loose stool or whatever food you're eating or drinking isn't leading to like constipation or any other problems, then it would just be like limited out, maybe a visual schedule of what she's going to eat. I also did a video blog a couple of months ago about feeding issues and picky eating. And in that video blog, I remember telling parents that they should write down easy foods on one column. Child will eat it, without a fuss. And that might be brand specific, like a brand specific macaroni and cheese. That's an easy food. But a different brand, for instance, might be a medium food, and you'd want to write those down. And then hard foods are in the last column. And what I usually recommend for parents is that they try to focus on easy foods and maybe incorporate a medium food with 2 easy foods per meal. And that might be one way, but to kind of spread out. And maybe it's a problem because you can't get a fresh one every day. I'm not sure, but check out that video blog. And I do have a couple staff members here who are chiming in and giving you links if I say anything. So let me just make sure I am looking at the comments. Okay, so we have I'm looking for some guidance in implementing a verbal behavior approach for a learner who is at the very beginning of stages of using an eye gazer, reads their eyes to click on the items on the screen. Any experience, advice, resources for this? The best thing to do, and I have it on the screen now, I will take it off shortly, but I do have a 2-minute quiz that all parents and professionals can take the quiz and then watch the free workshop that I am giving you with your quiz results. And in that quiz, I would be in the workshop, I will be teaching you. Now, I'm not sure if this person uses eye gazers because they're completely immobile. Like, I used to work as a nurse with spinal cord injury patients who were paralyzed from the neck down and those sorts of things. But if you are just working with an early learner with autism with no mobility problems, there's a ton of advice to not just focus on eye gaze. One really simple idea is to, if you have 2 reinforcers, instead of putting them in like a tackle box that some people recommend or putting them very close to each other, put them in baggies and put them on the opposite side of the table. That way, if the child reaches or looks in that direction, you'll know that they want that reinforcer versus in the other reinforcer. That's a very simple way to build in some of my strategies to look at eye gaze, but I'm not sure. Okay, so the eye gazer is due to mobility problems. So using some of those strategies to move the physical items away from each other so that when you are holding up 2 reinforcers, see where they turn their head or their eyes. Okay. So I have somebody here saying, how can I get in touch with you, please? I can't personally get personal messages and that sort of thing. I'm just really trying to spread the word to millions of people. I'm writing a 2nd book. So if you need to get a hold of me, everything has to go through my website or info@marybarbera.com will get you to my staff who will then try to help you. And if they can't help you personally, they might run it by me. My 2-year-old isn't talking at all. How can I help him? This is from Lisa. Lisa, I urge you to take the quiz, to watch my toddler preschooler online workshop. It's free. And then to consider joining us for our toddler preschooler online course. We are seeing, just this weekend, I saw multiple posts of, thank God I found this course. This is life-changing information. My child started here, and within weeks, they're already to this point, especially during the quarantine. It's just so critical that you take action. So yes, take the quiz and watch the workshop after this. There's a lot you can do with or without a diagnosis of autism. It doesn't matter. It's the same strategies. And that's been my whole thing. Okay, so let me see about, and we may be having some problems on YouTube. Not sure. It's kind of looking a little jumpy on my end, but okay, so let me answer this. Melanie's here. She has 2 children with autism. Angel, I'm the parent of a 4-year-old boy. No diagnosis, but I have some concerns and I'm awaiting evaluation. I started your program and bought the book a few days ago. Excellent. If you started my program, do you mean the toddler preschool online course? Because that is what I'd recommend. My book is actually written in 2007. And so it's older, it's still selling really well, and I'm writing a new book, but it won't be out for a year. So by that point, you won't even need the information anymore, because, every day, every week, every month is so critical, especially when you're talking about a 2, a 3, or 4-year-old child. So I would really urge you to, if you haven't done so, take the quiz, watch the workshop, and consider joining us in our online course and community. Miriam, I am an autism parent from New Jersey and having difficulty feeding my 3-year-old. He forces himself to throw up when he doesn't want to eat something that has shown he has liked before. Yeah, throwing up during meals and gagging, spitting out food, refusal are all behaviors, but we really need to we need to rule out medical problems. That's number one. Number two is you really need to potentially work with somebody individually who can help you with an individualized plan. And then thirdly, I do have information. I have free information in the feeding video blog that I mentioned earlier. And then I have feeding information inside my online courses. In addition, you can't just look at feeding and throwing up as in a silo. So my guess is he also has problems talking and may have other problem behaviors outside of food. And all of these things have to be treated kind of together. And that's why I would encourage you to still look at my online courses. What are the different type of therapy that helps autistic child to improve in life? My baby's often jumping on the sofa in bed. He doesn't have concentration for any activity. I'm very scared. Yeah, so I have multiple video blogs. I have video blogs on reducing problem behaviors and talking. And if you just Google Mary Autism plus the topic you're concerned about, whether that's feeding, sleep, talking, hyperactivity, problem behaviors, you will most likely find a video blog or a podcast. I have Turn Autism Around podcasts. They come out every Tuesday, interviews or solo shows. But, you know, it's a sea of information, and there's so much information out there on autism. And, you know, some people say, well, why should I, you know, pay for information through my online course or through somewhere else if there's so much information? The problem is there's too much information out online for free. And time is of the essence, especially when you have a young child. But even if you have an older child, I want each child to reach their fullest potential, to be as safe as possible, as independent as possible, and as happy as possible. And if that's not happening, then I would encourage you to learn more through my step-by-step approach, which is only available within my online courses and community. Not because of any other reason, but it is to provide that level of support that you need, and that step-by-step it requires a lot of effort on my part, on your part, but it is rewarding when you can have it lined up. And so they make the progress in the quickest way. Okay, what are the different types of therapies my daughter hasn't been diagnosed yet, but I know she has it. How do I get her tested? She's showing signs of it, just like my older son, but she doesn't want to do her schoolwork. So I'm not sure how old your daughter is, but the best thing to do is enter, do the quiz, watch my online workshops. I mean, maybe something within my online course and community could help you with both your daughter and your son. And I would encourage you, if your daughter is young, especially to take the MChat. I did a video blog on the MChat, the modified checklist for autism and toddlers, but she's got to be on the younger part. You're saying she doesn't want to do schoolwork, so I'm thinking she might be older. And so older kids that really are functioning fairly well, for them to get diagnosed with autism, you're going to need to go to probably a teaching hospital where they are going to give you an ADOS test, and you're going to be able to tell, they're going to be able to tell if it's autism or ADHD or learning disability, or maybe, a mixture of those diagnoses. Okay, let me look here on Facebook. Okay, and if you are on YouTube, I see errors coming through that I don't have enough bandwidth to be doing both of these at the same time. So if you're on YouTube and it's jumpy and you want to move over to Facebook, you can do that. marybarbera.com/Facebook. If you want to check out my YouTube channel afterwards, marybarbera.com/YouTube, /Twitter, /Instagram. I am everywhere. So if you need to move over, I am doing the Facebook Lives every Monday at 1 o'clock. So, okay. And I have a 7-year-old child with autism. He got spitting sensory. What can I do to reduce that? So I'm not really understanding the question, but I'm thinking he is spitting saliva, either spitting at people or taking his saliva and smearing it on things. That's a behavior we see once in a while. Whenever we're talking about any kind of problem behaviors, whether it's crying, spitting, hitting, aggression, property destruction, hitting themselves, self-injurious behavior, whatever the problem behavior is, we need to quickly assess the child's age, their ability level, not just the problem behaviors. We also need to assess when the problem behaviors happen, when the problem behaviors don't happen, and come up with why we think the problem behaviors are happening. And then we have to come up with a plan to what we're going to do to prevent the problem behaviors. We want to spend 95% of our time preventing problem behaviors. And then we have to implement the plan. So me coming on here live and saying, do this, do that, that's never going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't know any of those answers. So the best thing I can do for you is take the quiz, watch the workshop, and then also, if you are not in a position to join our online course and community at this point, search Mary Autism Spitting. I'm not sure if I have anything on spitting, but if I don't, problem behaviors will get you to some of my free content. All right, from Nora. Along with not wanting to dress or undress, our 4-year-old will not tolerate having his hair washed. What can we do to help him? He has been diagnosed as autistic. We have been avoiding washing his hair, and we don't want to freak him out. Really don't know how to help him, taking hours to get ready to leave the house. So hair washing is something that a lot of kids have problems with. Getting a bath, sometimes they get freaked out and they don't want to take a bath. So it is a slow process, okay, of desensitization. It doesn't have to be super slow, but it's to be assessment, like, will he get a bath? At what point does he start fussing? I tend to like to do baths and showers in the evening, not first thing in the morning when you've got to get out the door. I mean, very few people in the world are actually leaving their houses right now, so you might have all the time in the world to work on this, but it shouldn't just be like when you feel like it. It should be part of a routine. So it's going to be every morning or every evening, washing hair. So that would have to be a very systematic plan. Sometimes just switching the tools, like say he's taking a bath, he's 4, I believe you said, and you are taking a cup and you're dumping it over his head. That's the procedure now. There are other tools you might be able to use, like a shield. They sell like shields, like little hats almost, but there's nothing to it. It's just like a visor to prevent the child from getting water in their eyes. There's also connections you can get to the bathtub spout, which are almost like a little shower. You could, if the child has a sibling, you could use modeling with okay, now it's Johnny's turn, and tilt your head all the way back, and whether it's a cup or whether it's the shower. Sometimes it's just a matter of switching up what you're using to try to wash the hair. But the other thing is, I would make a plan and have a consistent person. So if it's a two-parent home, not having the mom do it sometimes and the dad do it sometimes, because you're really going to have more of a system to get your child over that hump. I did do a video blog and a podcast on desensitizing to aversive events, and that is where I would look on some more ideas for how to desensitize. Here's a comment from a YouTuber, Stephanie. I'm a parent of a 29-month-old with sensory process disorder and speech delay. No diagnosis for autism. And just so you know, the same techniques that are working in my toddler preschooler course, probably about half or over half of the people that introduce themselves within our private Facebook group report that they do not have a diagnosis of autism yet. So if it's speech, if it's sensory, it really doesn't matter. You can use all the stuff within my free content or in my paid content. So take the quiz, take the workshop, and see if that might be a good fit for you. Okay. You mentioned about preventing problem behavior. For my son, if I say no for anything, he cries. He wants to do every little thing, be it closing a box, closing a door. I struggle here what to do. Also, he wants to keep opening and closing a door. So you notice a lot of the questions are like, what should I do to stop this behavior? What should I do? Amenable to you saying no in the morning versus the afternoon? Is this a sudden thing with the COVID and the quarantine? There's just so many questions and that's why in my own courses, I teach you how to think like a behavioral analyst would think and constantly be preventing problem behaviors, giving him the attention he needs for doing the right thing. Everybody, I need, my typical son needs, my son with autism needs, my husband needs 8 positives to every negative. And so if all he hears is no, stop that, I told you again, and he doesn't hear a lot of great job doing that and thumbs up, and you might think like, I don't have time for that. But the thing is that everybody needs a lot more positives than negatives. And in the courses and through my free content as well, I teach you how to be a lot more positive with things that are happening. Jessica, I have a question. My son is 4 with the whole COVID-19 going on. His ABA therapy closed, so he hasn't had therapy for 1 month, but his behavior has been going up and down where he wants to kick his little brother or kick or make a tantrum and throw himself on the floor. What can I do to be able to change the behavior at home? Or what can I do to reduce the behavior and keep him busy? Yeah, it's a lot of time to keep a child with autism busy, or just an infant or a toddler, preschooler. Even if they're typically developing with a lot of language, it's hard to keep them engaged, doing meaningful activities with not 24/7 support. There are about 100 waking hours each week, and without school and daycare and preschool, parents are really struggling to keep kids engaged. Hitting or kicking his little brother is obviously more severe. You can have a lot of injury. So it involves creating a plan, being proactive, preventing the problem behaviors, keeping both boys engaged. If you are working or you're on a call or you're busy doing something, maybe keeping the kids separate. I'm not sure what the other child's age is, but just to keep things as safe as possible. I'm sorry I don't have a ton of answers. I have done some other live shows where I've talked about like visual schedules, choice boards, how to, possibly keep kids busy. I know a lot are getting extra screen time, but of course would be really great. We do have somebody in the UK now who has taken both my toddler preschooler course, and she's finished the verbal behavior bundle as well. And she started with me when her child was, I think, 21 months old, and now he's 26 or 29 months old, and he is essentially up. Now, that doesn't happen every time. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows where you start and where you end. And I mean, certainly he's not the end of everything, but she believes that she managed to turn autism around. So it doesn't matter where you are located. Okay, so the 29-month-old also has chromosomal abnormalities, which we think have been the cause of autism. We're working. Yeah, and it's a slow process to get speech. But even kids with chromosomal abnormalities and other things like Down syndrome and mobility issues can benefit from you learning what to do. We have a couple of people with not autism or other autism plus other developmental disabilities or chromosomal abnormalities who are making a lot of gains. Now, it might go slower, but yeah. So somebody is saying that it's buffering on your end on YouTube. So that is the case. I don't know. We're probably going to have to do this differently next week, because last week we had lots of buffering where we had to stop streams. But if you are on YouTube and you are experiencing buffering, I would encourage you to come on over to marybarbera.com/Facebook, and that stream is going a lot better. So you can hop on over there, and definitely plan to join us next Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook. And I'm going to try to figure out another way to stream you.